everyone, welcome to Go for Launch. Today we have the wonderful Jessica Barna presenting on email management. I don't know about you guys, but I definitely need help in this area. I've been just telling her I get inundated with emails constantly and would love some help on managing my inbox and hearing all her tips and tricks. And I hope you do too. My name is Allison Shehosh. I'm an attorney and I own AMC Legal in Illinois. And I help business owners like you with everything from incorporating, protecting yourself from personal liability, contracts, leases, you name it, I can help you with it. Also, I do estate planning and trademarks and copyrights as well. And I created Go for Launch as an educational platform for all of my business clients and hopefully future business clients, because there's just so much information that we need to know and so many aspects of running a business that we need help on, me included. So I created Go for Launch. So it's a free online business education platform. So please join our private Facebook group. It's open to you. You just have to fill out the questions and you'll be accepted. And let me introduce to you our speaker, Jessica Barna. Thank you.
Hi, thank you. I'm so happy to be here and to be talking about this really important topic for entrepreneurs. So a little bit about myself. My name is Jessica Barna. My company is called Achievement Firm. I have been working with small business owners for a little more than 10 years. I have an executive MBA, and I have decided to focus in on helping entrepreneurs with their productivity and profitability, which are two areas that I've just seen over the years entrepreneurs struggle with so much, and it can make such a big difference to really focus in on those couple of things. So one of my favorite parts about working with clients and some of the benefits that they really get from me is a lot of focus, a lot of clarity, planning and strategizing. And then one of my very favorite parts is the accountability piece that I offer to clients to make sure that they're actually meeting their goals on that weekly basis.
That's so important. So important with all of these. Wonderful. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, so I am ready. I'm going to just go ahead and share my screen and we will jump in.
I'm excited to learn what you had to say.
Can you see this? The slides are up?
Yeah, we're good. I can see that.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so welcome to Email Management for Entrepreneurs. Now, if you're watching this, you probably feel like you could do a better job at staying on top of your emails. And during this video, I'm going to cover a lot of actionable tips and strategies to get your inbox under control and also to keep it that way. So one of the biggest problems that I see with email for entrepreneurs is that it can easily be overwhelming. And let's face it, overwhelmed is not a good look for entrepreneurs, and it's definitely not a good feeling for entrepreneurs either. So I want to ask you a few questions about your email. And this presentation is going to be focused on your work email. So try to put things in that context. About how many emails would you say you're receiving a day? How many times would you say you're checking email? And this includes on your phone. And then finally, what percentage of your work time would you say you are spending on email? So if you are like most professionals, the average professional in their work inbox receives 121 emails a day.
Wow. Wow.
The average professional checks their email 74 times per day.
Oh my God.
And the average professional is spending 28% of their day on processing email. And
wow. Jessica, that's a huge percentage of your day.
It's so huge. Yes. So my question for you is like, how do you feel when you see these numbers? And which of these numbers would you say is unacceptable in your business?
I'd say all of them.
Okay, nice.
You can cut all of that down. Oh my goodness. So we can focus on the work. I know I have that problem. It's like there's a lot of emails coming in, but I need to focus on the money making aspects. And let's face it, a lot of the emails we don't need to deal with. They're not like direct client work that we need to work on.
Definitely. Yes. So in this presentation, we are going to talk about how to reduce each of these categories. And let's talk about what happens when your email is out of control. I see a lot of guilt and demoralization around it. It can seem really unprofessional if people are emailing you and you're not ever getting back to them, or you're missing those important emails. And a lot of opportunities for our business come to us via email. And so you can be missing opportunities if you're not on top of checking your email and finding those important emails to respond to. And then finally, something that I see with a lot of entrepreneurs is a kind of a sense of helplessness around their email. It's just so overwhelming. There's so much coming in. They're worried they're not going to ever get on top of it, which leads to ostriching, which is when you're burying your head in the sand and pretending like the situation doesn't exist. So let me just say, don't worry, there is a better way. So when your email is managed quickly and effectively, what you're going to have time for is your important projects, like you mentioned, Allison. More time for focus and clarity, more mental brain power for focus and clarity. You're going to be able to seize the best opportunities. And then finally, more time for money-making activities. And if you can get anything out of this presentation, if we can reduce that amount of time that you're spending on emails and move that over to money-making activities in your business, that would just please me to no end and also really contribute to your success. So let's talk about that 28% of your day. Let's say we can reduce that by a third. That would give you about 9.3% more time in your business every single workday if you can just cut down how much you're spending on email by a third. So let's look at things in that way. It's not about being perfect, but it is about creating more time for the things that are important to you. Okay, now before we jump in, I want to cover what I like to call the great email debate. And that is inbox zero. When you have every single day or every single week, you're processing your email down till when it's empty. Now, some people say this is a worthy pursuit, and some people say it's a total waste of time. So in my opinion, it is definitely a worthy pursuit. Inbox zero has done a lot of things for me and my clients. We stop missing things. We're feeling more in control. We feel like better business owners. It's easier to focus on projects. And one of the best parts I like is that it's easier to clock out at the end of the day. When you get to that inbox zero, you can feel like, wow, that was a real accomplishment. And you can kind of like go about your business, not worrying about email to the next day. So if you are trying to decide whether inbox zero is right for you or not, let's look at a couple of examples. Imagine you wake up and you start your workday and you see an inbox like this. We have about 4,200 unread emails, a little more than 5,100 emails in the inbox, and then countless more over in promotions and social. So does this feel manageable? Does this make you want to tackle the day? Or does this feel overwhelming and kind of make you want to shut down and go do something else?
Yeah, that is a lot to sort through to even get to the ones that you want to see. Oh my goodness.
It's a lot. And then let's look at this next one. Compared to starting your day with an inbox that looks like this, or with fewer than 20 emails or so. Now, how would this feel? Maybe like,
That's manageable, definitely.
yeah, and there's kind of like an end in sight. And so it feels like you can stay on top of this, but also still have time for those other important things in your day.
Mhm.
And then finally, imagine closing your day to an inbox that looks like this. Would you be able to better relax on your downtime? Would you feel a sense of accomplishment at the end of the day? And do you think you'd feel more ready to tackle that inbox tomorrow if you were leaving it like this today?
Jessica, that is like utopia. That would be like I'm retired and not working anymore. I don't think I've ever seen that. Oh my goodness.
So few people see it. So I just wanted to show like this is what it's like for me at the end of every day. It feels
Wow.
great. I love that closure. I love the closure. Okay, so is inbox zero a worthy pursuit? Definitely only you can decide. Whatever you decide, you're going to get a lot of tips and strategies to decrease the number of emails and decrease the amount of time you're spending on emails and decrease the stress and the overwhelm around emails. So let's dive into these tips. Email management steps and strategies. So I broke this into kind of 3 different steps that I recommend that you take. Now, if you're here, you probably need to clean up your inbox. And so the goal of step number 1, this clean it up step, is to drastically reduce the number of emails that you have to deal with currently, like right now where we sit. So I definitely recommend starting fresh. Whether or not you're going to stay at inbox zero, just the act of getting to inbox zero even once a year makes a big difference in those unread emails that you're seeing on the side every single morning. So let's say you have an email inbox and you have 0 to 300 emails inside of the inbox. If you have this number, which is a small number compared to a lot of what I see, it is possible and realistic for you to go ahead and process those emails. And by processing them, I mean open them, put them in folders, archive them, respond to them, delete them, unsubscribe. So if you're going to be in this category and you have less than 300 emails and you want to process them and start fresh, then make sure to use the strategies I'm going to talk about in step 2 to really get the most out of that time when you're sitting down and getting from 290 down to 0. Now let's talk about if you have more, 300 to thousands and thousands of emails. So unless you feel like spending hours and hours on this and you feel like it's going to be not only worthwhile, but also realistic for you to do this, let me tell you what I recommend. I recommend doing a basic triage, scan the last 1 to 2 months of emails for any essential actions or any essential emails you need to respond to, triggers for things that you know you need to do, and just go ahead and complete those actions. The next thing I recommend is to create a folder and call it Inbox Archive or call it Inbox as of April 2023 and move all your emails into that Inbox Archive folder. Now, don't stress about this because they're only one click away. They're not going to be gone. They're not going to be missing. And you already did the basic triage on these already. So those are my recommended steps for you. It is going to feel so good for you to see inbox 0, and just don't worry about having that folder over there. It's just one click further away, but the amount of mental power that it's going to open up for you really makes it worth it to go through this process. So starting fresh, once you have started fresh or drastically cleaned up your email so you have less to deal with when you're looking at it every day, the next step is all about prepping for your new email future and setting yourself up for success. So here are my recommendations on that. First of all, I recommend having a minimum of 3 different email addresses: a work email address, a personal one, and then one that's for subscriptions or promotions or any sort of signups that you're signing up for. And so the purpose of this is to protect your work inbox from any personal things or any mass mailings that's just going to distract you from the work that you need to do.
Okay.
Even this one step can make a big difference for people. Just getting all these signups out of their work inbox, getting all these subscriptions in a different place can really work wonders for reducing that 121 emails that we're receiving on average.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so a next must for your future email success is make sure that wherever you check your emails, it's always going to be synced across devices. I talked to someone a couple of days ago and she says she'll respond to an email and put it in a folder on her desktop, but it'll forever show up as unread on her phone when she checks it.
Oh, yeah, that would drive me nuts.
That is no way to live. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't done this, definitely get your emails synced so they look consistent no matter where you're checking them. Here we go. So Allison and I were talking about this right before we signed on with you. Unsubscribing like crazy is your first line of defense in keeping your inbox manageable. So this includes turning off things like notifications from social media. Those can generate a ton of emails, but also just unsubscribing to the things that you're no longer reading. And you can unsubscribe in bulk, or once you get to that inbox 0, you can just unsubscribe slowly as things roll in over the days or the weeks. And if you need to know how to unsubscribe, any mass mailings by law have to have an unsubscribe button. So usually you can just find that at the bottom of the email and unsubscribe. And if they don't, you can just reply to the email and ask nicely to be taken off
I
the
did
list.
that just yesterday. I replied to someone because I had done an advertisement with them before, and I'm like, please remove me. And they removed me right away. But yeah, occasionally you still have to do that.
Occasionally you do, yes.
Yeah.
And another great thing to set up when you're getting ready for your email success is to start filtering like crazy. Now, filtering is when you tell your email provider to route certain emails from certain senders right into folders, and you can have it skip the inbox.
Mm-hmm.
So this is for, I have some email subscriptions that I want to keep with my work email. Like I do want to have them there rather than have them in my signups and promotions email address. But I still want to look at them on my own time frame, like when I need them. So they skip my inbox and go right into the folder on marketing promotions or whatever topics I have. They're just kind of listed over on the side of my email. And they just wait until I'm ready for them. So that's one way to kind of take back your power is you don't have to read an email on someone else's time frame when they send it to you. You can save these emails and read them in bulk when it's right for you.
Yeah, I did this. I have Google alerts set up for certain topics, and I just have those go right out of my inbox. Because I get like 1,000 emails a day from those Google alerts, or like several hundred. So, yeah, that would be insane to have those in the inbox.
Definitely. Yes. And my next recommendation is to use labels for priority senders. And this is going to be especially important if you're not going to get to inbox 0 and you're going to leave a stream of emails in there. So creating a label is basically making certain senders pop out as important. So here's an example of a label here. If Robin emailed, these are just examples, but if Robin emailed me, it would pop up as client. So imagine you set these up for your top 10 or 20 clients. And when you get an email from them, it is going to be like very obvious that this is one of the emails out of all the ones that you've received that you should pay attention to.
Oh, I've never done that. Do you know what platforms allow that? Is that Outlook or?
This is definitely Gmail, and I think Apple Mail does it too. Those two are more than, I think, like 93% of people are either using Gmail or Apple Mail these days. So I think this is available on both.
Okay.
Okay, so what we just talked about was cleaning up your inbox and then some things that you can do right now to set it up for success in the future, unsubscribing, filtering, labeling. And the next thing that I want to talk about is where it's this is really important. And this is going to be talking about you and your habits around managing email and some very specific behaviors that you can create or change or stop. That's going to make a big difference in how long you're spending on email. So let's pop in to changing your email habits. Developing good habits is definitely going to cut down on the amount of time you're in your inbox, which means you have more time for the more important things in your business, and it's going to allow you to maximize your workday. So I'm going to recommend a lot of different behaviors. So as you're going through this, just try to see if something resonates with you, that it would be a really helpful behavior for you. You don't have to do all of these. And towards the end of this presentation, we're going to come up with a little action plan for your email. So just try to absorb this and see if any of these pop out as maybe something you'd like to try. Okay, so out of the 3 email statistics that we covered, I think the one that is probably the most damaging to entrepreneurs' work life is checking emails so frequently. It can be a distraction from actually digging in and focusing on the things that we need to do. When we see a new email, oh, let's go deal with that, because it's a little bit easier to pop over and be distracted by an email than it is to like sit down and do that focused mental work. So I definitely recommend turning off your notifications when you receive new emails so you don't want those popping up in your face all day long. And then choose a schedule for yourself. So is it possible that you would just process your emails at 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.? Or maybe 7, 12, and 5? Now, if this is not realistic, what if you only checked email at the top of the hour for 5 or 10 minutes? So it really depends on the types of emails that you have coming in and the types of client base that you have and how quickly you need to get back to them, how urgent the projects that you're working on are. So I think once an hour is quite enough. And I think that if you can get it down, like I do it twice, I clear out my inbox twice a day, and that works for me. And if someone has to wait 5 hours to hear back from me, then that's okay, because I'm not dealing with like very time sensitive, super urgent things.
Mm-hmm.
So just as it is easy to get distracted by emails, it's also really easy to get distracted when you should be working on your emails. So you just like jumping over to Google to research something, or you get a text or a great idea. So this habit is to stay planted when it's time to check your email and stay on that email screen, focusing until you're done processing or until you're at inbox 0. And this will make a big difference, and it will reduce the amount of time that you kind of spend on email because you're not jumping back and forth. You're staying really focused on processing one email at a time. Now, speaking of processing one email at a time, this is one of my favorite ideas. It's called Ohio, and it means only handle it once. And this is an email best practice where you commit to handling the email as soon as you open it. So this has a lot of added benefits. Like one of them, it prevents you from opening emails when you don't have anything that you could possibly do about them. Like if you're at Disney World, why would you need to be checking an email at 1 p.m. when you wouldn't be able to address it till you got back to your computer at 6 p.m. anyway? So it can be hard to adhere to all the time, but it makes a big difference. And the good thing is that way fewer things fall through the cracks because you're not opening all these emails and just kind of leaving them as read emails. And when an email is like left in your inbox as read, our brain doesn't think it needs as much action as the ones that are unread. So I recommend leave emails unread until you have time to sit down and deal with them. So another way to think about this is move away from checking email. Checking email doesn't do anything, but processing your email is what you want to be doing a couple times a day. Another frequent thing that I see entrepreneurs do that really kind of clogs up and bogs down their inbox is using their email as a to-do list for the day. And it really bogs you down because instead of looking at actionable emails that you can process and focus on and check off, you're kind of leaving representations of bigger projects that you need to do. So when you come across these project emails, either handle it immediately during your email time, or you can file the email and write the corresponding task on your to-do list or your project list. That's another thing that I could talk all about is the types of different lists to have in the business, but you should be working off of a to-do list or some sort of project list that is not your email inbox.
I'm definitely guilty of that one.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I leave emails flagged and I'm like, okay, I'll get back to that.
Yes. Okay, another thing that's going to save you a lot of time when it comes to processing your emails is try to keep your emails as simple and short as possible. Remember that email isn't the place where you want to grow relationships or show off your amazing writing skills. Email is very transactional at this point. So imagine receiving an email that looks like this versus an email that looks like this. So this one we got questions all up in here, some unnecessary questions, and it's just like paragraph. But this one, we've grouped the questions. It's going to be super easy for someone to just read this and know exactly what they need to do. So keep it simple. Here are some other tips for keeping your emails simple. Try to limit the topics that you talk about. That's going to keep things shorter. Make the subject line relevant, like actually take the second to change the subject line so it accurately reflects what that particular email is about. That's going to be helping people as well. Group your questions together if you can. Try not to use long paragraphs, and also try not to ask unnecessary questions. I care how people are, but I don't ask them how they are in their email because that's not really what the email's about. I say, I hope you're well, and then I dive into whatever we need to discuss.
Okay.
Okay, this is a bit weird to talk about when it comes to email management, but I found that a lot of the emails that linger or that are kind of hard to respond to are ones where you either want or you need to tell someone no. So these are the ones that people are kind of leaving in their inbox for a little bit longer, trying to decide whether they're going to do it or not. So once you can kind of master the polite art of saying no via email, then it becomes these stop sitting around so long. So the template that I use basically, and I've been working on this myself, just a greeting, thank you, I decline, next steps if you want to revisit it in the future, or well wishes if you don't want to revisit the topic with them in the future, and then you sign off. So here's an example of an email. Thank you. I've decided to decline. I appreciate you, and I'll keep you in mind for the future. So if you can get really good at writing these types of emails, it's going to help you from having all these kind of like little decisions that you're kind of on the fence about. You're not sure if you want to say no. If you can just get in the habit of politely saying no, it's going to help a lot. And then be only 80% perfect. Don't try to craft an email that is perfect, and don't keep it short. That's going to help too. But if it's for longer or complex topics, it's best to use like voice messaging, or a good old-fashioned phone call, or a Zoom call. And really, you'd want to figure out what you're going to say, draft the email, review it one time, and then press send. And that is all you need to do. The spending 20 minutes, 60 minutes on an email to make sure it's perfect, that is slurping up so much of your time. It is simply a habit to get in it's a habit that you can get into where you can respond to emails really well, 80% perfect. You might miss something or say something silly once in a while, but that's okay. So we just went through a ton of topics. We talked about how to clean up your inbox. We talked about how to set up your work inbox so that you're receiving fewer emails. And then we talked about some behaviors that you can change when it comes to your email. And again, all of this is so that you have more time to focus on other things, because I've talked to a lot of business owners, and I don't remember one that I've run across who just loves checking their email and loves processing their email. So
I
if we're spending
know.
a quarter of our day on something that we really don't like, it is of service to ourselves to really reduce that amount of time that we're spending.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing is, we just went over so much. We covered a ton. But what exactly should we do? Here's what I recommend for you. Decide on 3 strategies, and I'm going to show you the strategies list in just a second, but really choose that low-hanging fruit that you know for you will make a really big difference. And maybe it's getting to inbox 0 once, or deciding to keep it like that. Or maybe it's some behaviors that you want to change. Maybe you just need to set up another email address for all those promotional materials that you're receiving all the time. And then the next step, once you've chosen your 3, set aside a little bit of time in your schedule to do the things, whatever it is. Clean up the inbox, set up the filters, create the email address, and then implement. I recommend choosing at least one behavior that you want to try to change. And remember that it takes time, and you're going to have to work on it every day, and you will get better over time. So here are the strategies, and I just want to stay on this page for about 30 seconds. And if you can go ahead and write down 3 strategies, if you're watching this, that you'd really like to implement, that you think would make a big difference. And we have it broken into the start fresh. These are the things that you can do in your email inbox. These are the things you can do in your email inbox to get it set up. And then these are some of the behaviors that can make a really big difference in how long you're spending on emails. So if you can, because you spent this time with us now, and I really want to make sure that you put it into action. And so the very next step is to figure out what those actions are for yourself.
I'm really starting to think, how much time am I spending on email? I know it's going to be different from one business to the other, and how much time you spend a day working and such. But I really should start analyzing that, just paying more attention, being more conscious of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
And then, as we were talking before we started recording, if you send out emails to people, don't be sending them constantly, because you'll just get unsubscribed from. So I know, Jessica, you and I were saying, like, we send once a month. I send a monthly newsletter. Um, I think that's pretty good. I don't want to be in their inbox constantly to the point that they unsubscribe from me and I'm obnoxious. So
yes, definitely. Well, wonderful.
perfect. Well, thank you so much, Jessica. This is amazing. So how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you on this, or what other types of topics do you help business owners work through?
Lots of productivity topics. So this is just a tiny, tiny bit of entrepreneurs' productivity. It can be really important depending on the entrepreneur, but we get into topics like managing your projects, determining your priorities, how to manage your day, how to set up your schedules for success, determining the different roles that you play in your life and goals for each of those roles. So really, I just want to make sure that people at the end of the day feel accomplished and know that they're moving towards their goals. So a great way to get in touch with me, I'm on Facebook, Jessica Barna. I'm also on email, jessica@achievementfirm.com. And I think a really great starting place for pretty much any business owner that I run across would be a business clarity session with me. And we're going to get really clear on your goals and where you want to go. And people get a lot of value just sitting down and having somebody kind of talk through that process with them and help them like dream big and stop being so focused on the minutia and really think like, what is this opportunity of this business that I have in front of me and where can I take it?
I think every business owner needs to do that. You need to spend the time on the business and growing the business and not just in the business and in the client work. So important to do a balance of both. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you so much for presenting. If anyone wants to get a hold of Jessica, I will have her information posted. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Great to be with you.